Are we living the dream at the Dream Downtown? Let's go. My name is Chuck Danielsson. I head the web practice at Adaptive Financial Consulting here in New York. If you're not familiar with Adaptive, we roll pretty deep right there at that booth. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, and we make everything in financial markets ranging from highly durable, low latency exchanges to front-to-back enterprise design systems. Learn more. So let's start with a little definition here. What is workflow-driven design? Simply put, it's an approach to design where you think of not just one task, but a sequence of tasks. Not just one persona, but the collection of personas that work together to get something done. So let's juxtapose it a little bit here and compare it to traditional design. Right? In this world, you're typically building and designing in isolation. Right? In other words, we come together as an organization to create what would be considered V1, roll that out, and iterate and get some feedback. It's web design. It's fantastic. This is really, to me, problem-first thinking. Right? In other words, does my solution address the problem at hand? Think of a CRM. Can I put my customer data in there? Okay. Right? But so much so that this is really more a piece of the puzzle. Where in workflow-driven design, designers, developers, and product owners all work and collaborate together, and iteration begins from day one. That V1 is much more like a V3 or 4 when it's finally released. It's workflow-first thinking, right? So we're thinking literally about how the work flows, not just through one person's day-to-day, but the collection of people that are working together and the ecosystem of applications they're leveraging to get that job done. Instead of a big piece of the puzzle, this is the big picture. And I know what you're thinking. Who picks the blue box, right? But it's because there are challenges behind this. Much of what we saw today, things like Figma, are helping us address these, right? And these challenges, though, to highlight them. Number one, we must be able to easily create and compose these interactive prototypes. Second, design output now, let's remember, it's a whole team working together, can reflect both changes in style as well as domain logic, right? I can add a new feature, I can add a new way in which I want to handle an exception to the user flow. Simultaneously, the output must look and feel better than what you were looking at in your design tools, right? Looking just like the Figma is bar none, right? But we don't capture every little edge case in a Figma. We give you a general error flow. It's the user that uses it, that feels it, that knows that when they click the wrong button, they don't have to right-click refresh. And finally, new velocity must be established and maintained. As I like to say, it's not that kind of sprint, right? We're not here to get from square one and square two and wave. We're here to make that transition smoother. We at Adaptive accomplish this by leveraging what we call our UI accelerators. This starts at its base with a codified design system. Every piece of UI you got to put out there now must be AAA accessible. And rather than just test it on the back end, let's bake it in from the start. Second, we have a tokenized design language. This is the language developers and designers speak when discussing style implementation. Let's double down on that then, right? And actually integrate our design tools so when I make a change in Figma, I want to see that and be able to visualize it. Think of that now, not just in the integration where I can push a change to GitHub, but now CI/CD is going to build that for me. I can preview it. We can get all that way without any developer interaction. On top of this, we provide a collection of finance-specific components out of the box. Your typical UI kit, of course, is going to have input elements, buttons, layout pieces, correct. But what about your high-performance data grid? What about things like bar charts, line charts, and input elements that can accommodate me entering 37 million and actually being able to read it? And all of this is wound together with implementation parity. It lives in my design tool, it lives in my React and TypeScript. So when I say dynamic implementation, of course, we have our light and dark theme, but our tokens also account for things like brand color and domain-specific things like buy and sell. It's different in other parts of the world, right? Red means one thing here, it means nothing somewhere else. And of course, spacing as well. I like to call this the retail layout. So let's take a look at this in action, starting with a day one desktop landscape, right? We've got two key user personas I'm looking at here. I've got an algo trader and a line trader. We've got developers and designers that deploy to one singleton app directory, and they're able to get to those through an app launcher and some of the HTML tools we'll be looking at today. But the workflow you're looking at here is incredibly linear and almost pyramid-esque, if you will. There is a large base set of applications that this desk leverages each day to get something done. Amongst them, you'll find slow, small customizations on top, just like I said, building a pyramid. But a pyramid can be a bad time. We've all been to that pep rally. Enter the solution, OpenFin Workspaces. Now, both of these users enter via OpenFin Home. And rather than a linear collection of bespoke workflows that I don't have time to change, I have at my disposal an interconnected graph of elements that are able to work together. My customization is mine, and my end product is mine. And simultaneously, Home gives me a beautiful UI to hook up multiple back-end services. I can add different app directories. I can put that behind entitlements, all instantly at your user's fingertips. And this slide's just for me, but how do you quantify impact then, right? In my mind, you can metric me all day and tell me this and that and the other thing, but in the end, when Team A builds something, and they don't even talk to Team B, half the time they're in a different country, but what comes out in the end is a new composition, a new app built out of those two pieces. That's when you can see the change happening. That's that change in culture we've been talking about all night, right? So let's look at a little demo here. We're going to go to what we hope is the higher resolution video. All right, so what I've started up here is this is our Reactive Trader FX demo. On the right there, you might be pretty familiar with it if you know Adaptive. And what I've started to show here is that we're going to break some of these pieces out using OpenFin Workspaces. So the first thing I did was just launch the blotter, but now from here, I want to see my trades. Maybe I don't even want to open up the blotter. If you track IDs and you're a quick reader, you'll see those are exactly the same. Same with my live pricing. So it's not just static data I'm showing here, I'm showing you dynamic components. I'll now launch that. We see it here ticking it the same way. Now I have my EUR USD. But just coming on off an AI panel, right? Natural language processing. On the desk, no one says GPB USD, they say cable. That's what I want to say when I talk to Home. Quote me cable. And that's what I get. Now I'll make a nice little composition and put these pieces together. But no need to stop there, right? Again, it's about having things available to you quickly at your fingertips. So I just don't want to view and quote, I want to buy. And the same thing before, like our components, I want to buy 3 million and I don't want to have to type commas and zeros and all those wonderful things. But what do you know? I can just buy it right here and there. Awesome. Big theme tonight, though, is integrations. And OpenFin recently released the Microsoft 365 integration that we were hearing about a little bit tonight. And we just came off an awesome ChatGPT panel. I want ChatGPT in here. Why not? So let's post a little prompt up. It might not have done a good job of telling you about OpenFin CEO Mazi Dar, but it knows what FinJS is. And it gives me a nice little summary here. I can get a beautiful little preview and say, hey, okay, yeah, this is pretty good. That's what I want. But a good integration is when the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So give me my teams. Now, I didn't come up with these names. Microsoft gave me Adele as my first member, and I was going to do Hello World, but we stop here. And what I'm able to do is tokenize this. Adele is searching my MS365 backend for the user. The prompt is then passed to ChatGPT. These two are combined using the desktop protocol, and boom, I'm sending a message directly to Adele in Microsoft Teams on my desktop. And again, no need to stop there. I don't want to just tell one person about it. I went to FinJS last night. I had a fantastic time. Some guy got up there, wouldn't stop talking about workflow-driven design. I have to tell my dev team about it. What do you know? I'm going to do the same process, tokenize it. The dev team is processed to say, okay, let me talk to the back end. These are the 3 people on Chuck's dev team. Here's a nice little prompt. What do you think about this for a summary of workflow-driven design? Terrific. And there we go. Send the message off. We see Henrietta, Joanna, and Lydia are my crew. Finally, one thing we all want to know is ChatGPT, how fun was this? But unfortunately, as an AI language model, it can't tell you. But I can tell you I had a great time. Almost hit my 10 minutes perfect. Thanks, everybody.